Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Stefan. I'm account manager at Nexoya, and I'll be your host and moderator today. We have a super interesting case together with Direkt today, part of Zurich Insurance in Germany, and also a partner of ours whom we started to work with actually quite recently this summer. And you'll be hearing firsthand how they turned their data overload into actual impact and growth and boosted their performance marketing thanks to AI. So what can you expect specifically from today's session? So in this 45-minute webinar, we'll be discussing what challenges Direkt faced in performance marketing and how they turned those into significant growth. Also, how they integrated an AI platform like Nexoya, like ours, in their existing workflows, which is not always easy. And at this point, I will also show a bit around in the tool and make a bit familiar with what we actually do. And of course, last but not least, we will talk about the takeaways that we got from also our joint collaboration, the lessons learned. And there's, of course, at the end of the session, some dedicated time for a Q&A session. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat. Then we will go through them step by step individually at the end of the session. And yeah, of course, I'm not alone today. And I'm very pleased that I have Christoph, Head of Performance Marketing at Direkt, with me. He will tell you a bit more about his challenges, his story with Direkt and Nexoya, our joint journey together in the last couple of months. And yeah, I would like to give the word directly to you. Introduce yourself. I'm very pleased that you join us and share your insights today. And yeah, the stage is yours, Christoph.
Thank you. Hello from my end too. Thank you for the introduction, Stefan. And also, of course, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to talk about our case we did together today. Yeah, my name is Christoph Rüppel, and as Stefan just said, I'm responsible for the performance marketing at Direkt here in Germany. We are part of the Zurich Insurance Group and are the direct insurer within the German market. And with that said, you can imagine that our business is completely digital. So that means that all transactions, all sales are taking place online. Apart from our telephone service, of course, which also accepts inbound calls and is then creating sales via the phone. So my team of 7 and we are taking care of all digital sales channels within the Direkt. So that means, or said in other words, these include all paid channels such as SEA and all the paid social channels and of course all the native channels, but also all influencer and affiliate activities as well as the organic search. So that means the SEO work we are doing within the company. That's all part of my team. So we are one of the fastest growing direct insurers in the German market, and of course we are offering the full range of insurance products, including liability, including legal protection, as well as accident insurance. But our focus when it comes to the online business is clearly on the car insurance, but growth in this area is limited. So although everyone needs a car insurance, so everyone that wants to drive a car needs a car insurance, it is offered by countless insurers. So that means the competitor market is very big there. And so we decided to focus on other insurance products as well. That means our pet health insurance that we are selling on our website, as well as the supplemental dental insurance and the supplemental health insurance. So that means if you want to go to the doctor and get anything done that isn't covered by your legal health insurance that you need in Germany, you can also have a supplemental health insurance, which is covering more stuff that you want to have done. And our current growth is largely based on our supplementary health insurance products. So, like I just said in the beginning, all those policies are taken out online. This is our unique selling point. No broker is required. And our first-class products and competitive prices, they are regularly recognized with awards, for example, by the German magazine Finanztest. Why do we work with Nexoya at all, you might ask yourself. So our biggest challenge so far has been that we have been using many isolated silo approaches. So of course, we already had an overall strategic overview internally, but however, our channels are managed operationally by several agencies. And there is, or better said, there have been hardly any exchange between them. So that means our paid channels like Google Ads, Microsoft Ads, Meta, TikTok, Outbrain, and Taboola, they were therefore managed separately in terms of budget. And synergies were hardly exploited. In contrast, our mindset has always been data-driven. I mean, after all, we work in performance marketing, and if we don't work with data, who does then? And however, we had little opportunity to perform marginal cost analysis, for example, leverage synergies and use other leverages that are there in the market or in the channels. And rather than a challenge, the approach of aligning as many internal processes as possible with AI first is a motivator we have here internally. This means that we were able to use the drive very well to implement an AI solution for my department as well, as it is focused company right now. In addition, we simply had to contend with data overload. So platform data and our own data warehouse showed different data. You will also be familiar with this challenge, I guess. There has been no real single source of truth. So that means if we took a look into like Google Ads data, we have seen other numbers than we have seen in our internal data warehouse, which is quite naturally a thing in marketing due to the attribution problem. And in addition, our purchase prices rose. So we optimize based on cost per order, the CPO. That's our main KPI. And this continued to rise over the course of the year, despite optimizations we have done. So we needed the ability to perform a marginal cost analysis to find out in which channel further investments were possible and in which channel further spending was not worthwhile. And even the overview of the market situation and competitor behavior was only possible to a limited extent because we simply don't have that data available. So what did we do then? Fortunately, as I just mentioned, innovation is encouraged within the Zurich Insurance Group. And as part of the Zurich Innovation Championship, which took part this year, we had the opportunity to submit a problem out of our department. And to our delight, it was selected and we had the opportunity to screen the market for suitable startups to solve that problem. So like I just said on the slides before, we wrote a briefing and described our challenges, our problem that we have, and this got chosen so that we could work further on from that point. That took part like from March to June this year. And whoops. No, that's right. This was our situation at that time. Yeah. We often found ourselves in hot water because we did some basic test and learn approaches with our campaigns, but we didn't know on which data we can rely on. So as you can see, this is an old marketing campaign from ourselves. You can see the car in the pool there. And that's how we felt at that point. Fortunately, Nexoya came to our rescue and offered us a strong shoulder to lean on. So what did we do then? After testing numerous tools and competitors of Nexoya, we chose Nexoya, as you can see. Otherwise, I won't be sitting here today and telling you our success story. Why did we choose Nexoya? The tool seemed the most mature to us, easy to use, and with a very simple UI, user interface. And the team appeared particularly competent thanks to their experience in the insurance market. So they worked together with other insurance companies beforehand, and that has been very, very important for us at that point. From July to August, we imported our data sources after we did an initial onboarding, which was coordinated by Nexoya and our team. And we imported our data sources, which enabled us to display a holistic cross-channel picture of our status quo in the interface. After that, we were able to break down silos, which means we were able to shift budgets between channels for the very first time. So like in the past, we were only able to shift budgets between Google Ads and Microsoft Ads, for example, but not on an automatic basis. And from that point on, we were able to shift budgets between Google Ads, Meta, Outbrain, Taboola, and all the other channels on a completely automated basis. The next step was to get the internal team and also external stakeholders all on the same page. So that means that our agencies and my team as well were all held in the loop so that everyone knows what we are working on right now. It is very important that every stakeholder understands what Nexoya, what the system is doing there, because it might not be self-explainable from the very beginning, because some changes that are done by the system would not be done by a human in the loop. But every change is based on data. So that means every change is very well decided by the system. And everyone needs to know why it is done in that way. And Nexoya provided excellent support in this regard. So thank you on that point again. And yeah, the highlight of our collaboration this far has been that Nexoya was rewarded within the Zurich Innovation Championship with a prize for its outstanding work and excellent results. You can see it on the next slide here. The significant sales uplift, which was proven by means of an A/B testing, is particularly noteworthy here. And in addition, the speed of implementation and the proof of concept were generally praised, because we did all that within just 3 months, and we gathered a lot of data, a lot of very, very good KPIs, and we had more than one all-time highs in that proof of concept when it comes to sales on our end. And therefore, Nexoya was awarded the prize for the most innovative AI project in the EMEA region, which makes me very happy. Congratulations again. So let's switch to the interface so you can get a better overview on what Nexoya is all about. You can see here like a screenshot out of the interface, and Stefan will show you some more in a few minutes. You can see an all-in-one cross-channel reporting here. So that means you have all numbers on one page and can see which channel performs best. You also have like a real-time performance monitoring, and that enables fast decision-making. So no need to go through different reportings or to go through different platforms. You have all on one page. And of course, you can continuously identify more opportunities. For example, with the simulation tool, the simulation gadget that Nexoya is offering. That's the curve you can see on the screenshot right here. It simulates different scenarios in the future, and enables marginal return analysis, which I just mentioned beforehand. This tool I like to use on a daily basis because I can then confidently plan upcoming months or even upcoming weeks, because I can see how my sales are changing when I put in more budget within the campaigns, or if I take out some budget of the campaigns, and how my main KPI, the cost per order, is changing on that basis. So I like this tool, and I would also say that I like this tool, the simulation tool, the very most of everything Nexoya has to offer. And yeah, with this said, I hand over to Stefan, who will show you who Nexoya is, and take you a little bit on a deeper adventure when it comes to the interface. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Christoph, for your insightful presentation and showing you how the journey developed. And it's really, really impressive to see now, again, looking at the storyline, how fast we could set up everything and achieve extraordinary results. So I'm also happy that we won this Zurich Innovation Championship award together. So I'll be taking over from here, as Christoph just mentioned, and I'll be also showing you a bit around in the user interface, also explain you high level how everything works. But before that, I would like to give you a bit more context, actually show you who's behind Nexoya, so that you have an understanding of who we are. So we are a fast growing scale up in marketing tech based in Zurich. We have roughly over 30 employees, and we're based in Zurich. That's our headquarters, but we're also present in our other main markets, notably in Germany, in Italy, and the UK. And then, I mean, you've just heard it. We have won the Zurich Innovation Championship together. We have also been rewarded with other awards, which I think underlines the quality of our service. But I think what makes me the most happy, especially as an account manager, is to see the vast amount of tier one brands that trust us, that we work with together. So we have been actually starting in the insurance and finance sector. And in the meantime, we work with all types of different customers across the board, across industries. So also e-commerce, energy, telco, whatsoever. So if you run digital ads and you're present cross-channel, most probably we can help you. Now, let me show you a bit more what we actually do and how our AI-driven cross-channel optimization platform works. So first and foremost, what we do is, of course, we connect all the digital marketing channels that are relevant, mostly through API, but overall we have over 40 integrations that we can connect, as well as the possibility to take in the CRM data. I'll show you right away why this is so important. So first, what we do once we have connected all the data, we do not only harmonize and aggregate this data, but we actually want to make it even more comparable by running first a regression-based attribution. So you might know this concept from the marketing mix model space. So what we actually want to find out on a digital level is the incremental effect of each and every channel and campaign tactic to actually have a comparable data, then base our optimizations on that. What we then do once this is completed, the actual magic happens, and at the core of our service, obviously, which is we run predictions. So our predictive models run forecasts based on a vast amount of data. So this is historical data, short-term, long-term trends, and predicts actually the performance of the digital landscape of all the channels and campaigns for the upcoming week, mostly for the upcoming 7 days. So actually, we really look at each and every campaign and ad set, see the saturation curves. I'll be coming to that afterwards in the UI. And then based on these forecasts, we actually make suggestions on how to move your budget most efficiently with these weekly optimizations. So we show you where to allocate the budget in the best way per channel, but also on campaign type. Then this optimization that is visible within the UI, it is then typically looked at together with the team. So we meet on a weekly basis. Our customer success team meets on a weekly basis with Christoph's team, Direkt. And then we look at optimization together. And if everything looks good, it can be applied by a simple click on the apply button, and everything is then fed back through the API into the system, into the platform, and changed automatically. Now there's something else that happens that is super important now inside of this attribution, and maybe brackets up. We have launched this attribution feature a few months ago, so this is quite recent. And here with these weekly optimizations, they can also be seen as a kind of mini experiments. So since we have the CRM data on hand and constantly rerun the attribution modeling, usually on a monthly basis, we can constantly validate and refine these results that we get from the attribution. So it's really closing the circle. So this is a lot of theoretical stuff that I've been telling you about our models and how everything works. So actually, I would like to show you a bit more around in a practical way. Therefore, I'll be sharing my screen and showing you our demo environment, typically for an insurance. So I hope you can see me. Otherwise, Christoph, maybe just let me know in case there's something that doesn't work. But you should be seeing now our UI. This is a demo account specifically for an insurance, which I think makes the most sense to show. So what you can see in this overview is, first of all, the performance screen. So here, this is the all-in-one reporting tool that Christoph mentioned before, where you have actually the aggregated data for all your different channels and campaigns. So you can see there's also the possibility to filter for specific channels, but also see the full picture overall as you want. And then the funnel that you see on the left here is really set up the way you want it. So this is typically discussed in the onboarding together. And I mean, this is a typical marketing funnel, from awareness to mid-funnel to lower funnel, which the main KPI is the sign offer. Now here, you can also select this respective time frame. In this example, it's 18 November to the 9th of December. Now, having talked about the main KPI sign offer, as I was just explaining, what we first do before starting with the optimization is actually the attribution to see the incremental impact of each and effect of each campaign and channel. So therefore, we have the possibility, when we now go on this attributed offer sign that comes out from the regression, we see now for the same selected time frame what actually the impact is of those campaign tactics. So in the case of Google Search Generic, for example, actually what was measured by the platform itself, it over-attributed itself. Actually, instead of 188, only 168 sign offer came in. While, for example, Microsoft Bing brand, it's the other way around. The platform attributed itself 84 sign offers. Actually, there are 99 that came in. So already this is super important on a strategic level to know this, but also because we use this information, this data, to base our optimizations on, right? So next to the graph that I showed you above, there's also here the aggregated view, but you can also see on a campaign level on how your different campaigns perform in terms of the relevant KPIs. Now, to the heart of our service is, of course, the optimizations. So here what you see is an optimization proposal for the upcoming week, starting today, with a budget of 26,000. And now, after the forecasts have been done, as shown you before, then we suggest the optimal budget allocation for the selected budget. In that case, overall, we're reducing the budget by -8%, but this is not done linearly on all the channels. What you can see is quite significant differences. For example, Meta reduced by 39%, while, for example, Microsoft Bing is increased by 13%. Possible that also the attribution insights have their impact on that, right? And what we then see or want to see specifically, and what is super interesting for Christoph then as well, is what is the impact on the actual KPI that we optimize for. So what is interesting for Meta, for example, that case is that despite we reduce the budget so much by almost 40%, actually we only have 10% less of offers, sign offers that are coming in. So this is something that, of course, we look at the aggregated level, but also on the channel or campaign level, because then this is of course very relevant as a global picture, but what is super interesting is to see what the different changes are on a campaign and ad set level. What you can then also see is, simply the same as before, as values, but also as cost per, of course. But then there's additional insights that you can see, such as this meta ad set, where you can see the insight and see that actually this campaign is very, very saturated. So the possibility that if we decrease the budget, almost the same amount of leads come in is quite high. And this is what is actually happening, right? We reduce it quite a lot by 50%, but actually we only get 13% less of sign offer, which means that we have a much better cost per, which is extremely relevant, specifically in this industry of insurance, like Christoph and his team. So this is about the optimization. And then glad to hear, Christoph, that the simulation really pleases you and helps you in planning the upcoming, let's say, short to midterm future. So in this case, there's a simulation that was run. You can do it all yourself for the selected time frame of 4 weeks, 21st December until the 17th of January. And here you can see the different scenarios. So actually, when you're setting it up, you can select different scenarios. So let's say the base scenario is 100K or for these 4 weeks of ad spend. If you want to find out, hey, what would actually happen if I increase the budget by 10,000, so 8 plus 3%, you can directly see what would happen with the amount of main KPIs that come in. Here, for example, you see the value increases by 5.4%. So not as much as you increase the budget, which makes sense, of course. At the same time, if you want to find out what would happen if you decrease the budget, if you lose a lot of sales and how the cost per evolves, also here, of course, cost per goes down, but not as much as you decrease the budget. So this is something that can be very, very valuable for planning, specifically as a head of performance marketing as Christoph. So I hope that this demo was insightful. I'll be changing back to the presentation. And of course, feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have any. So what I would also like to stress here in that case, since we're talking about the lead gen vertical specifically, is actually it doesn't stop there. Of course, the amount of leads that we can generate from our digital marketing activities is super relevant, but we can do a much bigger step forward, which is also something we are, of course, now considering with Direkt on our roadmap, which is what about the qualification of a lead? Does a lead actually convert into a sales, for example? Or there's different values that you have per lead. So what if you actually want to optimize on the maximization of the value of a contract, for example, then you can really differentiate those leads based on the values. So there's a vast amount of signals that we can take into the platform and also calibrate accordingly. So this is something that is super, super relevant for all lead gen verticals and advertisers out there. Good. Then slowly coming to an end and concluding with the key takeaways. Maybe Christoph, you can again activate your camera. There you are. Cool. Perfect. I would like to discuss quickly with you on the major key takeaways that we had with our joint collaboration. Maybe also something to mention to look out for others that are considering using our platforms, using our services. I think maybe I can start with the data topic. I mean, this is very logical, right? The better data we have, the better the impact will be, or the better the models can run. We had some cases in the past with Nexoya where the data materiality was simply not good enough, so it was very very difficult to have a real impact with the optimizations. In your case, I mean, we have a data overload, right? So
Yeah, that's true.
it
That's
helps.
true. Yeah, it helps, but you need to make sure. I think that's the most important advice. You need to make sure on which data you want to rely on. So, do you want to rely on the platform data? Do you want to rely on your internal data warehouse data? Maybe your data warehouse data is not that of a clean setup, or not that well attributed. That might be a thing that you also can solve now, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, and you need to make sure, do you want to rely on last click attribution? Do you want to rely on first click, or do you want to have a data attributed process? I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's something that we also realized firsthand in our collaboration. And what about the operations as such? I mean, this is something that I, of course, witness very often. There's what we do incorporates change, right? There's also different stakeholders involved, agencies as well, which is clear. So communication is key. That's what I have learned. Maybe you can share a bit from your point of view, also as a head of performance marketing, that have to orchestrate different teams and stakeholders. Is that also something that you have realized?
Yeah, sure, of course. That might be the hardest learning for me in our collaboration, because if I were about to do it all over again, I would include our agencies. I would include them in the communication loop better than I did. So that's the hardest learning for me, because, like I just said beforehand, Nexoya is based on data and data only, but some decisions that the tool is making might not be that easy to understand for a human in the loop, and therefore I would include all the stakeholders, like the agencies and our team as well. But I think my team has been included very well in the proof of concept, and yeah, that might be my advice when it comes to communication.
Yeah, and it also depends on the case, right? So there's sometimes big teams, specific channel managers. Sometimes if there's just one person handling different channels, of course it's also easier. But yeah, absolutely, communication is key. And that's something also we at Nexoya, we constantly learn that how important we have to stress. And that's why also we do this, let's say, extensive onboarding, where we also want to stress the importance of the understanding of what we actually do, right? And I mean, it was impressive to see, despite that you're in the insurance space, being part of a big global brand, how fast you could implement our tool and led to impactful results. Is there something maybe you can give a hint that to others that are maybe in a similar industry where things take time, how to push it faster, or how to make it faster?
Of course, I can, and I might also pick up one question from the chat when it comes to the answer to that point, because someone asked what has been the greatest challenge for you when incorporating this tool into your workflows, and that matches with what you just asked, Stefan, because like you just mentioned, we are part of a big global company, and one of the most time-consuming tasks has been to get everyone on the same page within the company. So like data protection, like our legal department, our IT department, and everyone who was involved when it comes to onboarding a new tool. And my advice would be to make sure that everyone, because I don't think that this is already the case in every company, that everyone knows how important it is to move on to AI tools right now, to move on to more intelligent algorithms right now. Because if you don't do so, your competitors will. And I think that's the most important thing, to make sure that everyone is aligned, that everything happens real quick, because otherwise, some processes might take a few months or even half a year, but that won't work when it comes to the new technology, when it comes to working with AI. And I think that's the most important thing. Or also, as in the point before, communication is key. Get everyone on the same page.
That's definitely great advice. Thanks for sharing that, Christoph. I see that there's quite many questions, so we'll get to them in a second. Maybe just to conclude, I mean, we all know that you're a big fan of the simulation tool for the partial
Yeah.
returns. So uh, I think even there's one question that we could combine this with. I saw it. What is the fluctuational range when you do simulations? How accurate are predictions from your experience?
I don't know what is meant with fluctuational range, to be honest. I think it might be like how good the predictions are done. Schwankungsbreite. Okay, thank you. So what I can tell, because we need to look on two different things here. We have the marginal return curve that we can simulate, but we also have like the weekly, or on which time frame you are optimizing the in our case it's a weekly optimization. So this weekly optimization is done by Nick Soya, and there we can see the changes, what will happen if we adapt these optimizations. And what I can say, our fluctuational range within, or like our better said, in 96% of the cases, the optimization prediction has matched with the real outcome. I don't know if that answers the question like you imagined, but when circling back to the simulations, how accurate are they? I can say that when it comes to the simulations. Can you, Stefan? Because I only can report that from like the optimization to then real outcome.
So what you actually have to do manually is to compare the results once you want to check it back. But actually this is just as a kind of planning tool, because when you apply a simulation, a scenario simulation, actually what is being done in the background is the weekly optimizations are being not triggered, but set up based on your budget inputs that you gave. So it's, as you said, in the end you can validate. If you validate the optimizations, you validate the simulation somehow.
Yeah.
And then there's something that maybe I have missed showing before in the tool. There's also one tab where you can see the predicted versus the actual results, and that is something that specifically when you look on a weekly time frame, always looking back, let's say in every weekly meeting, you can see, hey, how well did the predictions actually occur, or how accurate were the predictions, and that's how we validate. Next, of course, when you do kind of the POC, the proof of concept, we have this A/B test where we had very significant results uplift that we do with statistical modeling.
So there's the same logic behind that. Yeah, maybe one thing worth mentioning would be the risk levels, because the fluctuational rate also depends on the risk level you are choosing, because you have the opportunity to like go with a very moderate risk level, or with a mid risk level, or with a high risk level. So what that means is, if you are choosing the high risk level, for example, you give more freedom to the algorithm to try out new things. things to get more budget shifted between the channels. And then the fluctuation rate can differ a little bit. It might be a little bit worse than with the moderate or low risk level, but you also can get more outcome on the other hand.
Absolutely. Maybe let's directly jump into the questions, because there's quite a few of them. And if your questions is not answered, of course, we pick it up and we will also answer you by written. But maybe just let's start at the top. What are the thresholds to successfully use Nexoya? Minimum media spend, minimum impression per month. This is something that I have to answer. So usually we have the criteria to be able to properly benefit from our service and get the best out of it is having different channels, obviously. So you should have 3 channels or more, and then a monthly ad spend of minimum roughly 40,000. But this, of course, it depends in the end about, it's all about the data materiality. If you have enough data materiality but less spend, it actually works. It can also be the opposite, that you have more ad spend but less data materiality. So this is not that easy to answer, but roughly 3 channels and 40,000 in monthly ad spend. Then let's continue with the greatest challenge for you when incorporating. I think this you already answered, right?
Yeah.
Then, there's a question with even a thumb up, so this must be relevant. How long did it take, Zurich, for the onboarding? How is the different channel performance broken down by product? Car insurance, life insurance?
Yeah, I can answer that, of course. Like you already seen, we had a very special case, a very special, like, how should I say that? We had the opportunity to use the Zurich Innovation Championship. So that means we had a very little time to run a proof of concept. So that would not have been the time frame of a normal project. So that means everything was a little bit quicker. We have been like on a fast lane process. So that means, like you were able to see on the time frame, we have done the initial screening of the market in March this year. And from August on, we have done a proof of concept of around 3 months. So that means we have been very quick in the setup and in the testing. And when it comes to the different channel performance, so we haven't done car insurance and we are not providing any life insurance. So what we've done in the proof of concept, we included our pet health insurance as well as our supplemental dental insurance and the supplemental health insurance. So these 3 products were running in the proof of concept, but we are also planning to include car insurance in the future. But what I can say, the 3 beforehand mentioned products have experienced all-time highs in sales within the proof of concept.
Good. Maybe adding on that, maybe excluding the entire admin work you had to do as a company as well in order to start the collaboration. When the moment we start with the kickoff, it roughly takes through 2 to 3 weeks until we're ready to start. Of course, always depending on availabilities of the teams and also complexity of the case is for sure to mention. But once someone decides to collaborate with us, we're usually quite fast. I think it was also the case with their Direkt. Then in terms of conversion tracking, I am aware that we are already a minute over, so I would say we stay at least until 11:50, and what we cannot answer, we of course answer by written. In terms of conversion tracking, is Nexoya relying on platform conversions like floodlights, meta tags, and so on analytics data like GA4 or Adobe Analytics? Very good question. So here what we do is it all depends on you. We don't have any pixel, anything installed that we use. So we work with the data that is most relevant to you. If it's the provider or platform data, then we connect this. It's connected via API. If you have analytics, let's say the Adobe Analytics or GA4 as a source of truth, then that's what we implement. You can even do a mix. So some KPIs in the funnel can be measured by analytics, third-party analytics, some others by provider data. So we're quite flexible on that. What is for sure is that we don't have anything tracking related installed or is being used. So we really rely on the data that you give us. I hope this question is answered. And then the last one is it possible to assign different weights to KPIs based on their respective campaign objectives and visualize this distinction within the reporting dashboard? I don't know if this is something that we do now on in this specific case, because we're really focusing on lower funnel. But what you can do for sure is we work with specific impact groups, which means that if there's campaigns that are more in the mid funnel, upper funnel, and maybe you would optimize on clicks or even view throughs, then we can also simulate this within the tool. So actually, as an easy rule of thumb, we optimize on the KPIs that you optimize on. If it's for certain campaigns, it's really conversions. We do it on conversions, but we can also optimize on different KPIs and simultaneously, so within the same portfolio, of course. So that certain DV campaigns or upper funnel campaigns are not being punished because they don't bring any conversions. I hope, Verena, this answers your question. Perfect. Yeah, we're almost right on time, I would say. Once again, thank you so much, Christoph, for all those valuable insights that you shared with us, of your journey with us. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to see what's coming next. As said on one of my slides, there's always plenty of more potential to further deepen collaborations. And thanks for everyone for participating to the session. You will be receiving the recording, and by this, I would like to wish everyone a nice Christmas season. Merry Christmas, and see you soon, hopefully.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day.